Hello,
Hi, Eloise. Sorry,
how
I'm just
are you?
I'm
Hi,
doing.
hi Nicole.
Hi
Huh?
there, how are you?
Perfect. We're all on. Yay.
It actually like everyone's here and like on and like there's no hiccups. I can't believe it.
I
And
know.
look, we're both wearing white.
I know you guys look like winter white. I love it. Or almost
It's
winter.
the holidays, right?
It is. And I love this topic that we're going to be discussing because the holidays can be so difficult for anyone struggling with infertility or pregnancy loss, from holidays being so kid-centric, to social media announcements, to, friends and family making comments. Today we're going to specifically be talking about nutrition during the holidays, which can be sort of tough to, you know, when everyone's just eating whatever they want because it's the holidays. And um,
And
but
drinking.
I'm really happy to
And
have
drinking. Exactly.
drinking. Yes, exactly. That was a big pain point for me on my journey. I'm like, you mean I can't have one glass of wine?
I know. I think so I'm not a doctor, but I know Dr. Michael has said in the past, like, you can have one glass of wine. Like, don't make it a 9-ounce pour. But you can
Yeah,
have a small glass of wine to celebrate. It's not going to hurt you. I don't, if you
everyone.
had 5 or 10, maybe that's a problem. But having one is
Exactly.
going to
Well,
be okay.
Well, good. That makes me feel better. Well, before we jump in, so Nicole Haggerty is from Laurel Fertility in the Bay Area, and Eloise is the founder of Fertility Help Hub, which is an amazing publishing platform and community for those going through fertility issues. And so, thank you guys for doing this event with me.
It's great.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to talk about this topic. When we first started thinking about how we were going to go about talking about nutrition, we wanted to kind of change the narrative and flip the script just a little bit because it should be more about not surviving the holidays, but how to enjoy them.
Yeah.
And it's always, so negative, and it does not have to be negative. The holidays should be a joyful time. And while it is stressful and hard to see, like you said, to see all those announcements and Facebook posts and Instagram posts and all of those things, you should still be able to enjoy the holidays with your family and while going through your treatment or your journey. And I think that this is such an awesome topic, and I can't wait to hear both of your perspectives on it, and then I can give you some of our, helpful tips.
Yeah, I mean, I always, my biggest struggle on my journey was more on the exercise front because I always felt like I shouldn't be doing high intensity. Exercise is a big stress reliever for me.
Yeah.
And I always felt like if I was exercising, and I still to this day have this mentality, like if I'm exercising, I could pretty much eat whatever I want, right?
Yeah, I feel that way.
But during IVF, I felt like I had to scale it down a lot. And that was hard for me because that's my stress reliever. That's my me time. That's like my sense of control, right?
Yeah.
And then as a result, I felt like I had to like eat super healthy because I wasn't exercising as much. And obviously I wanted to up my chances of conceiving if I could. So I just felt like my whole lifestyle was sort of thrown off in a big way. Um and then alcohol, I like a good glass of wine. That like so it just sort of turns everything upside down because you feel like you shouldn't be eating the way that you normally would and drinking the way that you normally would, and you can't be exercising the way that you normally are a lot of the time. So that was my big pain point. I had to sort of learn different ways of getting around it, like doing yoga instead of high intensity and, you know, maybe cutting carbs.
The
Like
worst.
it's the worst, but I always say everything in moderation. And, I think that you can enjoy or at least I think I'm not a professional, but that you can enjoy the holidays as long as you just don't overdo it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
I
for me,
agree.
I felt like I was in such a difficult place, like I'm sure you relate to, and everyone watching relates to. I almost felt like, what's the point? Like, normally I would love wine and mulled wine here in England and mince pies and things like that. And I just lost the appeal for them because I didn't have that spark anymore. And so I was really in survival mode versus enjoyment. And so, like we're talking about, if you can find ways that are distracting and just take your mind off it, even for a second, so that you are busy and you're doing things that excite you, then at least you're not in this state of thinking about it all the time. And the other thing was, like you said, if you have a drink and you don't go crazy, like, don't beat yourself up about it if you've had one glass of wine. But then equally, if it's going to stress you out worrying about the glass of wine, then don't have it either.
Right.
Yeah. Because sometimes the stress of worrying about what you've done or you haven't done can be worse than doing the thing.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah, and I think it's important on like an emotional and mental point of view to know that like whatever works for you, like if you feel like diving into the holidays and like really owning it and is how you cope, then great. But if you feel like maybe I'm not going to go to that family function this year because, you know, not even just because of eating and drinking, but just because like Aunt Sally might make a remark that I'm just not really in the mood to deal with right now. Like whatever you have to do is what you should do.
Yeah.
I think especially this year, because last year obviously everything was so shut down. There's like half of people who are probably feeling excited about seeing people again, and then other people who are feeling like, well, actually, I was in a cocoon last year, and I quite like the fact that we didn't have to. I wasn't around Christmas parties or seeing pregnant people or people asking me why I wasn't drinking. It's easier to hide behind closed doors, but it can also be isolating. So it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
I think that mental health, so like I always go back to mental health, right? I will always talk about it every time I do anything, but your mental health is so important, especially when you're going through your fertility journey. So kind of going to your point, Eloise, that you liked your isolation, but that isolation can cause depression and it can cause you to feel very alone. And yeah, you don't want to hear Aunt Sally say, well, why aren't you pregnant yet? Oh, are you going, like, what are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. And there's definitely ways to, and I'm sure you guys can give examples of ways to kind of answer those questions with a smile. Not really wanting to smile, but the depression part of it can also affect your journey. And I think that if you can take care of that and try to do a little bit that brings you joy during the holidays so that you're not so isolated, I think that's very important too.
Absolutely.
Kristyn, how did you respond to questions if you were asked difficult questions during holiday season, for example?
I really think it depends on if you're open about your journey or not. Like I kind of felt from the beginning that I wanted to be open about my journey, because like I tell my mom everything and I'm kind of an open book, but also like in the case of my mother-in-law, like she is the type that would say, when are you having a baby? And for me, like I wanted to avoid those questions, and I felt like if people knew, then they would be more sensitive, and it did work. But after a while, I remember when my first IVF transfer failed, and I was probably at my lowest point because I was like, wait, I thought IVF worked for everyone. Mm-hmm. I sort of found myself not wanting to talk about it anymore. Like I had been such an open.
Oh.
So sick of explaining.
I think we lost our connection for a second. I don't know what happened.
It's back. There we go.
Oh, sorry. I was so sick of explaining everything to everyone after a while. So I think it's also okay to like be open sometimes, be open to some people, not all, not be open, like whatever is best for you at that moment, because I went from being extremely open, telling people about my transfer dates, like when my baby was, and then I just felt like I don't want like my parents waiting with bated breath, like on beta day, just for me to have to be like, yeah, it didn't work. So, it ebbs and flows. That's what I found.
Definitely.
Eloise, from your perspective, when you were going through your journey, what was that like for you, and how did you handle, the holiday season?
I do have a memory, which is not a great memory, which is Christmas Day. It was up until sort of recently, my husband and I have been married for nearly 10 years, and we've taken it in turns each year, like his Christmas, my Christmas, and it was my Christmas, and I was like, great. So we went to my parents, and the mood was just really somber, and because we had had our diagnosis of his male infertility just 3 weeks before, or a month before, and I'm the oldest of my siblings, so there are no other grandchildren, so my parents were also feeling that trauma, and the what ifs and what's next, and so we were all pretending to be happy. But I just remember being in my bedroom with my husband, and we were both just sobbing on Christmas Day, and I was seeing pictures on Instagram, and friends were sending photos of them with their new babies, and it was just so incredibly hard. And I think I probably just tried to get through it the best I could, and probably had too much to drink.
Well, I think that like the holidays can also be such a milestone when you're going through fertility issues. Like, oh, I wasn't pregnant last Christmas, and I'm also not pregnant this Christmas, and I'm going to end another year without a baby. And that's just the marking of time is really difficult, because like you start every new year with that hope that like this is going to be my year, and then to end the year being like I'm not even closer than I was before, even though you are one step, every step, even if it's a negative step, is a step closer, but you feel like this time has passed, and then you see all these announcements, and why is it happening for them and not me? It's another year. It's just traumatic, like you said.
I think New Year is a really good point. It's not just Christmas, it's New Year as well, isn't it? And everyone goes into that with hopes of the new year and what that's going to bring. And then there's almost like this pressure that this is going to be the year, this is going to be my year or your year. And I even remember the year, New Year we just had, everyone thinking, right, we're turning a corner, no more COVID from after New Year. But of course, nothing changed overnight. But it is nice to have a new start to look forward to, for sure, especially if you've had a wrong year.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's a question here from someone that shares that they've had 3 miscarriages, and when they're next pregnant, they're not sure when they should tell their family, because they don't want to get their hopes up when they've lost 3. And so what would you share with them from your experiences on sharing with their family? Now it's personal, so they have to decide what's best for them, but that's a very good question. And what are your thoughts on that?
So I have mixed feelings, because I think everyone should do what feels best in the moment, but I was pregnant this summer with my third. I went for a frozen embryo transfer, had a positive beta, and I was one of the lucky ones. Like, I had never experienced loss before, so I like immediately, even knowing what I know, like assumed positive beta, it's going to be a successful pregnancy. Like, and I was over the moon for days, and then my beta levels never rose, and I had told all my friends and family basically that my beta had worked. Like, obviously cautiously optimistic. Like, I said to all my parents and everyone, like, it's so early, like the earliest you could possibly know you're pregnant. But then I had a chemical pregnancy, and but I feel like I would have felt very alone if I hadn't told anyone. So in one respect, I feel like I got everyone's hopes up, which sucked. But on the other hand, like, I had more support, because they all knew what was happening, even though people don't really know how to support you when you go through something like that, because a lot of people are like, oh, it was early,
Yeah.
and they mean so well. It's like the people closest to you, but I'm like, yeah, it was early, but for like an entire week I thought I was pregnant. Like, I tested early, I got a positive, and it's just like those hopes and dreams. So, you know, my advice is not really advice because it's do whatever feels best for you. But
Right.
when you don't tell anyone, you don't have that support there.
Yeah. Yeah. Eloise, what, from your perspective, what would you, when you were going through that, do you share those sentiments? And do you think that you would rather have your family rallying around you? Or do you think, well, you know, maybe keep that person, just like I said, it's a very personal question. So everyone is different and how they handle things. So from your perspective, what worked for you?
So I'm just a very open person generally. I wear my heart on my sleeve and I just love chatting to people. And oh, has she gone?
Let's see.
Has Nicole gone?
Yeah, she must have fell off. Let me try adding her again. Okay, I just added her again.
Oh, here I am. I don't know what happened. I'm
You
so
dropped
sorry.
off.
I guess we're all having internet issues today, and my apologies.
There's always something on Instagram Live, isn't there?
Always.
So yeah, I mean, for us it was kind of unique in that we were having treatment abroad in the States, and so that was like another level of having to tell people what we were doing. So to take time off work, to be away for I was away for 3.5 weeks in some of the IVF rounds, and you can't hide that kind of thing because you when you chat to your friends a lot, you share what you're doing, and so it felt really uncomfortable to lie about going abroad, and why would we be going abroad for a month? So I was very open the first time we went to New York and did it, and then everyone was texting, has it worked? And then it was like I had to send out a whole group, like loads of texts on Easter Sunday saying, again about the holidays, on Easter Sunday whilst in tears with a migraine, saying, no, it hasn't worked, we're devastated. And then all the lovely comment, you know, all the lovely messages back, which made me cry even more, you know, one day you'll have a baby, all these things. And so the next time we went back after that, I didn't tell anyone. I remember speaking to one of my closest friends, and we were at the airport at Heathrow about to board, and she was like, what are you doing this weekend? And I said we were going away somewhere else just for the weekend, and I didn't tell her we were in New York. And then she worked in the same company as my husband. She emailed him randomly and got his out of office saying he was away for 2 weeks. So she said, where have you gone for 2 weeks? So, you know, just quickly, and then you feel bad that you're not being honest. And so, yeah, and all you're doing is trying to protect yourself and thinking, well, all I want is that element of surprise, that element of excitement, that if that time comes, I'm able to deliver you the news how I want to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You made a good point too, like with traveling and work, it's kind of hard after a while to not have that conversation with HR or your boss. Like I remember my egg retrieval fell during a work conference, and I had waited so long to get to that point. I was like, there is no way I'm not doing my egg retrieval. And so I ended up having a conversation with HR because I wasn't sure what the policy was, and then having a conversation with my boss. And I was like, listen, this is what I'm going through. I cannot go to Las Vegas like for a big conference. Like I need to be in New York for my egg retrieval. And it ended up being fine, but it had to go like through my boss and her boss and his boss, and HR knew about it. And then like it did take a weight off, but it was like a big thing. And then, you know, others kind of were inquiring like, oh, why didn't you do that show? Like that's your job. And I was like, going through a procedure, you know. So yeah, that opens all other sorts of doors, like to talk about, you know, IVF and work and being open about it there.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Thanksgiving coming up next week, haven't you?
Yes, we do.
So was that something that you found quite triggering when you were going through fertility treatment?
I mean, all the holidays. It's funny, Thanksgiving's like actually my favorite. I'm a big Christmas person. So
me too.
Christmas.
Me too.
My house is already decorated for Christmas, so we'll just say that.
I'm
amazing.
not me having an entire trunk full of home goods Christmas decor.
Not at all.
That I haven't taken out yet. But yeah, no, I'm almost there too. But yeah, I think like Christmas and the spirit of the season like just always got me a little bit more. My birthday also was tough. My birthday's in February, and it's like, in my opinion, the worst time of the year because it's like the tail end of winter and you're just like so sick of the cold weather and it's dark every day. And I remember the right before my actually right before I found out I was pregnant with my twins, I had family over for my birthday, and I was like, my mom like said something about, did I have a good birthday? And I was like, I remember saying to her like, no gift can give me what I really want, you know? Um,
Yeah.
and so, and then I found out I was pregnant with my twins, so it was like the best. It was the day after my birthday I found out I was pregnant with my
Oh,
twins.
wow.
That's a nice birthday gift.
Yeah, but birthdays are hard, you know, because especially when fertility is so age related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you know you turn 35 and you think, "Oh my God, my fertility is going to fall off a cliff," which isn't necessarily true. It's more of a steady decline from what I've learned. But age can just be a big trigger.
Yeah. So, kind of talking about the holidays, right? So we're talking about nutrition and mental health and all those things. And so, when it comes to enjoying the holidays and foods to eat and things to do to enjoy, I have a whole perspective from the fertility side, from the clinic side, right, on suggestions and recommendations and things like that. But from each of your perspective, when you were going through, aside from exercise and alcohol, I mean, those are the things that, we already know. But from a nutrition standpoint, in keeping your body healthy, and of course, you want to enjoy, so from each of your perspectives, I'm sure you can't remember exactly what foods, but like, what did you not eat and what did you enjoy more of or less of? And I think that would be helpful for those that are going through their journey right now, because they're like, wait a second, can I have all of this stuff? I don't know.
Well, I was very surprised that my clinic gave me no nutrition recommendations. I asked about it,
Uh-huh.
but my doctor said, you're under 30. I was under 30 at the time. You have a good BMI, like you just need fertility drugs. But I feel like that's missing a whole side of it. Like there are things
Yeah.
you can do to help increase your
Yeah.
chances, supplements, nutrition. I remember without guidance from my fertility clinic, I then started getting like every book under the sun about PCOS and what to
Hmm.
eat. Like, unfortunately, a lot of the information out there for PCOS is like very eliminating, like food elimination diets,
Yeah.
like cut out dairy, cut out gluten, cut out this
No
and that.
sugar.
Yeah, sugar is big with PCOS, and
Yeah.
I don't really believe in that as a rule. Like, and I've talked with many fertility dietitians that are like, if anyone's telling you to completely eliminate the entire food group, like unless you have an allergy to it, like that's
Right.
very restrictive, you know? And so I remember I did like a whole month without dairy, but then when my cycle failed, I was like, screw this, give me like a
Yeah.
glass of milk. But
Yeah.
but I did try a lot of those because you're just so desperate in that moment.
Mm.
But I wish I knew then what I know now. And it's really a lot of what I've heard is like the Mediterranean diet. It's like, the
Yeah.
leafy greens and the good fats and stuff like that,
Yeah.
more so than just eliminating an entire food group.
Mm.
Yeah, and I actually don't even think that it's just spans fertility. I think that's life in general, like having a healthy body and is very important. I mean, we all eat things that are not healthy, but getting healthy in general is very important. And someone asked kind of a question about general nutritional kind of tips for fertility, and so like what are some of those things that you can eat and do. And so like, for example, with the holidays coming, you can do, so it's like pumpkin bread and, I myself love sweet potatoes. So, having sweet potatoes without all the brown sugar and the marshmallows on top, good idea. I mean, you could put a little bit on top, but you can definitely have those sweet potatoes. don't load it up with a stick of butter and 3 gallons of milk, but you can enjoy the, butternut squash and pumpkin, because they're full of a lot of antioxidants, vitamin C, all things that are good for your body. And so, obviously going back to like those spinach and leafy greens. So at your holiday dinner, like make sure that you're having a salad that's incorporated. So if you're going to eat the stuffing, make sure you throw some spinach and some leafy greens in there too, so that you're getting the, the folate and all of that stuff that helps with, your, just kind of your reproduction in general. Like having that folate in there naturally is always good versus taking a supplement. Obviously there are supplements that you do have to take, but if you can get it naturally through those foods, it's so important. And I think that, everyone assumes that you can't have turkey and you can't have the stuffing and you can't have the potatoes. You can, but you want to also incorporate some of those healthy aspects as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For me, so the first time around, I didn't do anything nutrition-wise, and I was younger, and my cycle resulted in more embryos, but probably less good quality. Second cycle, I had 3 to 5 longer to prepare, and really looked at nutrition, and some of that did fall over holidays. And also, I'm such a foodie. I love food and drink, and so that combined with going to New York, which I absolutely love, and having an array of amazing brunch spots and restaurants and everything that you love, was hard. But I actually looked at it as a challenge. So what I did was I tried to find things on the menu that were interesting but would make me feel good about what I had. So for example, I would often have avocados with eggs, and my nutrition, so I went to see a nutritionist second time around, and she said eggs are good for eggs. So I did lots of eggs, had lots of eggs. I had, sprinklings of pumpkin seeds and things like that. Olive oil, so going back to the Mediterranean diet instead of loads of butter. Fruit juices. I know you're not supposed to have too much fruit, but trying to get like a zingy sort of, like, I think I had even celery, which I don't love. Celery, cucumber, apple, and like those sorts of smoothies, which just made me feel really refreshed. And then chicken breast and salad, and just trying to incorporate cranberries, and I love chocolate, so I had lots of dark chocolate covered nuts and covered raisins and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I cannot get rid of chocolate.
No one can eliminate chocolate. It's so good. And I love how you said eggs are good for eggs. That's really awesome. I may steal that. And someone here,
I was told that by a nutritionist.
Eggs are good for eggs. I love that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
But those are great. Now I'm craving.
And also, even if you're not drinking alcohol, even if you're not drinking alcohol, you can be quite experimental with mocktails. So there are so many great products on the market which don't have alcohol in, that can make it taste more like a mocktail. So you don't just have to drink water. You can make it more interesting. So if you're throwing a party or you're going somewhere, like my husband's going to kill me for saying this live, but he's on this nutrition weight loss thing at the moment, and he keeps taking his own drinks to places because he's cutting back on beer and wine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so challenging. I give him a lot of credit.
A brewery in Connecticut, but they sell nationwide, and they're completely alcohol free. They do IPAs with no alcohol, which I think, like, traditionally non-alcoholic beer was just like light beer, and they're doing more of like the craft beer but alcohol free.
That's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that people going through fertility treatment now have so many more options than even just 5 years ago. When it comes to different types of foods, access to them, being at a restaurant and having these healthy options, so if you need to bring a dish to a family dinner, make it that healthy dish that you like to enjoy, that incorporates all of those things. And I think they're very lucky, because I think that, like I said, just 5 years ago, I didn't think they really had access to what those were, and people weren't talking about it. So I'm just so excited that we're talking about this topic today, and I'm hopeful that people are really enjoying it.
Yeah. There's also I love called My Mind Body Baby, and they offer meal plans and exercise plans that are tailored specifically to like IUI, IVF, PCOS, and it's like actual recipes and grocery lists, and not an ad, but I really believe in what they're doing,
Yeah.
because that wasn't something that existed when I was going through it. And I just was like, what exercises can I be doing? What should I
Yeah.
be doing? Like, I wanted someone to give me the manual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
also if you've got the time, and if you're doing it with, say you're doing it with someone, encourage them to cook together or come up with new recipes, like you said, or look for something inventive so that you're not always stuck about what to eat. Because I find that I always buy the same stuff from the supermarket.
Me too.
Oh,
Every shop is the same.
Everything. It becomes so redundant and so repetitive. And it's like I'm always doing research and trying to find different healthy options and ways to cook things quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not a chef, so I don't have an hour or two every day to cook this fabulous meal, but finding, healthier options is always good.
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
I sometimes do HelloFresh because it's just
Mm.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually pretty, healthy and veggie forward and stuff like that. But anything to make your life easier when you're going through treatments too. Like,
Yeah.
we can't all afford a cook, but
Yeah.
but
No, no.
anything you can. Trader Joe's has some good healthy, like, ready-made rice and brown rice. I love their brown rice. It's 3 minutes in the microwave. Like, there's things that you can do to just make your life a little bit easier, which I think is important when you're going through IVF.
I was also
Absolutely.
I was
So
also told
Eloise,
to
when you're,
go.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just also told to go organic, and I found that the cost was huge. So it's probably worth working out what you really need to concentrate on what you don't so much, so that you're not just spending money for the sake of it to feel like you're doing the right thing. And
Not
Yeah.
even when
everything
I
has
was
to
in
be
New York,
organic.
I went to it wasn't Planet Organic, I can't remember, Whole Foods probably, and an organic chicken breast was like $7 or $8. It's like for one breast.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go to your regular supermarket and get organic chicken breasts and organic meats and organic foods that are a little bit more affordable than going to, and no offense, Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. Or you can even so what I do sometimes is locally, there's a company that will, like, from local farms,
Hmm.
deliver to your doorstep weekly, like meats and
Yeah.
veggies and all farm grown, that are organic, and it's like $25, and whatever they have that's in season, that's what you're getting. And
Like
there's those.
what's it called? A co-op or something?
It's called local fare
Oh,
here in Florida, but they whatever's fresh and in season, that's what you're getting. You're not getting something that is manufactured, that's full of chemicals, that it's all organic, but it's what's in season now, and that's what you get delivered to your doorstep. I don't do it all the time, but there's many companies out there that do that, from local
Yeah.
farmers, that where you can have it delivered to your doorstep, and those are your healthy choices, where you don't have to sift through to find the most affordable, organic and healthy options. They can do it for you, which is always nice.
Someone's actually just said that they were told that if they can't purchase organic veggies or fruits, to wash them with a water and vinegar mixture to get rid
Ah,
of toxical pesticides.
that's a
I
really
did not
good
know
tip.
that. That is a very good tip.
I try to do milk, eggs, and chicken organic, and then like, just for price consciousness, and
Yeah.
then and some berries they say that are you should do organic, but
Yeah.
every organic is it definitely gets pricey.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, berries are very high in vitamin C and antioxidants, which are so good for your body. What Going through treatment and not going through treatment, but we're talking about treatment today. So, they're high in vitamin C and antioxidants. And so it's if you can get organic and berries that are in season, that's super important. And so, for example, let's say cranberries, right? So I love cranberry sauce, but not in the can. So, you can go get your fresh cranberries that are in season, and instead of putting all that sugar and all of the chemicals in there, you can actually, find a really good recipe online, and make your own cranberry sauce that you can bring for your family dinner. That is something that's healthy and that you love. It's sweet, and it also contains those nutrients that your body needs.
And you know what's in it if you've made it as well, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm
Exactly.
actually planning on making pumpkin spice cupcakes for,
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
yeah, for
Can you
things.
send one to me?
Yeah, and I feel like even though there's probably a lot of sugar and stuff in them, like pumpkin's healthy.
It is. Actually,
You know?
you know, pumpkin, like I said before, pumpkin and like butternut squash are full of like beta carotene, vitamin E. Again, back to that vitamin C. So we all, you know, we always advise our patients to take supplements and things like that. And after you kind of go through your testing to see what your body's deficient in, you can increase those deficiencies with those foods. And pumpkin is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Pumpkin is not something we eat massively over here, and I wish it was, because I love pumpkin pie. My stepmother-in-law is American, and when we've been to her Thanksgiving in London, it's just the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pumpkin has grown on me over the years, but I love it in a good like pumpkin bread, pumpkin muffin. It's delicious.
Yes. And you can put some like cranberry sauce in there instead of, applesauce. So the sugar-free applesauce is always good to put in there because it adds a little bit of that sweetness, you know, versus putting in all that butter and sugar. I always do that. And my kids have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. I don't know if we do. I don't know if we have any other questions. I'm like kind of scrolling through to see if anybody has any other questions for us. Do you guys see any on your end? Because I'd love to answer them.
Pumpkin whoopie pies and bread sounds amazing.
Does sound amazing.
What's the name of that company? Which company are you guys wondering about?
Oh, the vegetable co-op.
The vegetable co-op, is that what it was?
Do they deliver organic veggies to you?
You cut out there. Was it? I don't know if it was me, if it was yours, Kristyn. Because for me, it's local fare here in Florida. I don't know what they have, you know, in different states, but I know, Kristyn, you had mentioned another site that.
It's Mime. I'll put it in the chat. It's My Mind Body. Okay. There we go.
There's some in the UK as well, which is I can't remember now. Like something like Farm or something like that, and it's farm stuff delivered to your door.
Love that. So I think they were meeting. I don't think they were meeting the name of my company that I use here.
Oh, My Mind Body.
Although
My
now
Mind Body.
I find one in New York, I'm like, is there one of those over here?
You know what, there probably is. I just did, you know, some Google searching to figure out, like, is there a way for me to get stuff, you know, as a busy person, we're all busy, and is there a way to find something organically and healthy locally so that we can support local? I would prefer to do that. Yeah. So I just did just some searching on that and read reviews, and I think that everyone can do that. I don't know if every state has that, but I'm sure most do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think ours in the UK is called Farm Drop. I think that's the name of it. Anyway. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. I love this discussion. This was awesome. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about nutrition that you both went through during your journey. And I hope it helps some of those that were listening online. And I hope I gave some helpful tips. I'm not sure.
Someone has just asked a question. I don't know who they're asking that to.
Okay.
How long did it take you to have your first baby, and how many babies do you have now? So for me, I have 3-year-old twins. And it took me 1 year, 3 failed IUIs, IVF, a failed IVF transfer, and then a successful IVF transfer. Eloise?
For me, we actually found out quite early on because my husband's infertile. He hasn't got sperm. So we moved quickly to donor sperm in America. The first round of IVF failed 6 months after that. So it was a year in total. We got pregnant with donor sperm with our first child, who's 4.5. And then we went back to the States to do a fresh round of IVF, which resulted in boy-girl twins who are 3. They're the same age as Kristyn's twins, boy-girl as well. In fact, both our sons have the same name.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
What are the odds of that?
I know.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome.
So yeah, no, it's been so nice speaking with you both.
Same.
This is a great discussion, and hopefully it helped people feel a little bit less alone in all of the emotions surrounding the holidays. And
absolutely,
we're all here if you need us, and to support everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just before we go, I just wanted to share that like we recently put up like a blog on our website that I'll share after like our live session's over, but kind of foods that help boost your fertility, but also we're going to be putting some stuff out there about enjoying the holidays in a healthy way. And so hopefully you guys can hopefully take advantage and read that and that find it helpful.
Yes, we've got one we're putting up at the moment, which you guys have written, which is brilliant advice. So we'll share that as soon as it's ready. And I wish you all happy Thanksgiving next week.
Thank
Thank you.
Holidays to you both. And we'll chat soon.
Everyone enjoy it healthily.
Yeah. Okay. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.